Hello, I'm Matt and welcome to Badger Workshop. I get asked all the time about this Metabo planer thicknesser, so I thought I'd give you my thoughts on it. The first thing I thought we'd do is just look at changing it between the modes so you get an idea of how long it takes and how complicated it is. So let's have a look. First of all, we've got the fence on, we've got the guard on, we just need to get the dust hood in and then we can do some planing. So to get the dust hood in is a little tricky at first because you've got that handle on the other side you've got to wind down. Then what you've got is a little notch with a cutout there and it sits over a bar there. So get it in place and then you can raise the table back up. Yeah, always have to do it a few times to get it arranged properly, and that engages a micro switch. That's it, and that should be good to go. So that's it set up in planing mode. So after I've planed a couple of faces, you need to set up in thicknessing mode. So you've got a lever at the back. Take the fence off. Then you've got two levers here. You take the in-feed table off. Then this bit flips over. We wind it back down so we can release the dust hood. That sits on the top there. Then you put that goes on like that and holds that in place, and there is a nut, but I find that does it. Then you get your 4-inch dust pipe on there, and obviously you would have done it in the other mode as well. So that doesn't really take long at all. The only downside of this thing, I think, is some of the more expensive machines, instead of having to take the tables off, they fold out the way or fold up. But you've got to put the fence somewhere and the table. Right, let's have a look at my notes. So I've kind of written down some good and some bad points about this. Bad points, definitely the instructions. If you watch my video about putting it together, it's the most frustrating tool I have ever owned for putting together. It was a nightmare. And I did put down as a negative the setup, that just changing between modes there, but it really doesn't take that long. So maybe I'm being a bit negative there. The other negative I put down was the fence. You see, I should have shown you the fence while I actually had it attached. So to get this back on, there's a couple of locking nuts. You've got to make sure these handles are properly engaged because this one engages a micro switch again. So this fence can slide in and out depending on what thickness of wood you want to do. So this is an aluminium fence. It can be angled down to 45 degrees. When I had the cheap Titan one, I'd have to check the square each time. This I find I can take on and off and is actually pretty good. The one thing I don't like about the fence though is because it's aluminium, let's tighten it down properly to start with, give it a fair chance. If you push against it, you'll get some flex. As long as you know that, it's kind of okay. You push things through, you push against it, but you don't put great pressure, and then you're fine. But a cast iron fence would obviously be better. Right, the stand it came on, nothing wrong with it. 4 legs, wheels on one side, I guess it was this side, so you can pick it up by the outfeed table and wheel it around. That's fine. But in a small workshop, it's not great because they're fixed wheels, don't swivel. So the first thing I really wanted to do was change the stand. So if you're going to get one and you think you're going to change the stand, I recommend you do it straight away instead of faffing around putting the legs on and then trying to get it back off the legs. So yeah, stand's okay, but didn't really work for my setup. A positive would be the blades. So it's only a 2 gutter block, but they're 10-inch blades and they cost about £15 a pair, and they're double-sided. So for £15 you get 2 uses out of them, so that's really cheap. I've had this about, gotta be 6 months now, and I've just swapped over to my next set of blades, so it's, yeah, perhaps going to cost me £30 a year in blades, and probably you could resharpen them if you're mean enough. I also found that you really need a good dust extractor with this. I was trying with a kind of shop vac when I first moved here, and it just wasn't good enough at all. The amount of chips that something this size is going to create, I had to buy a proper, I got the Metabo that sat in that corner, chip extractor with a 4-inch port, and that does a really good job. The two together, yeah, work very well. So the cost of it, I think you could say is a plus or a minus. It's kind of at that sweet spot of £500. The machines below it have got universal motors that are incredibly loud, not that accurate, the alignments of the tables. The Titan one I had was, well, it was very cheap, but it wasn't a very good machine. And the others looked like really clones of that, or it was a clone of something else. So maybe they're made in different factories, the same pattern, but use better components and are more accurately put together. But they're all going to be loud. And the models up from this, I had a look this morning, the Axminster Craft machine was £800, and it still had an aluminium fence. So, and it's the same capacity, I think, as a 10-inch wide. I'm not sure how much you can thickness, but I've never really maxed out the thicknessing. So it's £300 more than this, and it's a slightly bigger machine, maybe not in capacity, but in footprint. So I didn't really want that. And then the more trade professional machines, you're talking over £1,000, so double the price of this. So it's not a perfect machine, but it just kind of fits in that price bracket where, well, £500 is a lot of money, but it's kind of affordable compared to the Axminster Trade with a spiral head that's cost £1,600. So yeah, I guess how I judge a tool is, if I was to get robbed tomorrow, would I buy the same one again? The table saw, no, I'm not happy with that. I would change it. This, I'm happy with it. I can't think what I would get for this kind of money that would be better than this. So yeah, that's about it. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe for more videos.